Silence is power, control is strength, confidence is not loud, confidence is calm. Stoicism teaches one simple truth: you do not control the world. You only control yourself. When you learn this, nothing can shake you. Here are 7 Stoic rules that build a confidence so strong it scares chaos itself. 12. React to nothing. This does not mean you feel nothing. It means you choose not to be ruled by every noise around you. Most people live as prisoners of reaction. A word is spoken and they flare up. A look is given and they feel insulted. A delay happens and they feel anxious. Their peace depends on what others do. This is weakness, not because they are bad, but because they have handed control away. When you react without thinking, you give power to the outside world. Anyone can move you. Anyone can disturb you. Your mood rises and falls based on events you do not control. Stoicism teaches that this is unnecessary suffering. The world will always be loud. People will always test you. Events will never move in a straight line. The only real choice is how you respond inside. Reacting is easy. It requires no discipline. It is automatic. Calm is harder. Calm requires awareness. It requires a pause. That pause is where strength lives. In that pause, you decide who you are going to be. Not the version shaped by anger, fear, or pride, but the version shaped by reason. When someone insults you, reacting feels natural. The body tightens. The mind rushes to defend itself. But ask this: does their opinion change who you are? If it does not, then reacting is pointless. If it does, then the problem is not their words, but your dependence on approval. A Stoic understands that opinions are outside control. They pass like weather. Chasing them only leads to exhaustion. Silence is not weakness. Silence is a decision. It is the refusal to let others pull your strings. When you do not react, people often reveal more about themselves. Anger looks foolish when it has no target. Provocation dies when it is ignored. You remain steady while others burn energy. Reacting to nothing does not mean accepting disrespect or injustice. It means choosing the right moment and the right method. Action guided by reason is different from reaction driven by emotion. One is controlled, the other is chaotic. Stoicism favors control. Every reaction has a cost. Anger costs clarity. Fear costs confidence. Impatience costs wisdom. When you react instantly, you pay these costs without realizing it. Over time, this drains you. You become tired, frustrated, and confused. Calm preserves energy. Calm keeps the mind sharp. Training yourself to react to nothing takes practice. Start by noticing your triggers. Observe the moment your body tightens or your thoughts race. Do not judge it, just notice it. Awareness slows the process. The slower it becomes, the more control you gain. Delay your response. Count your breath. Let the emotion pass through without obeying it. Emotions are temporary visitors. If you do not give them attention, they leave. If you feed them, they stay and grow. A Stoic chooses not to feed what weakens him. Reacting to nothing builds respect. People sense stability. They sense that you cannot be easily shaken. This changes how they treat you. More importantly, it changes how you see yourself. Confidence grows when you prove to yourself that you are in control. Life will continue to test you. Delays will happen. Criticism will come. Plans will fail. None of this requires emotional chaos. You can observe without absorbing. You can face pressure without breaking. When you react to nothing, you stop wasting energy on what does not matter and save it for what does. Control begins inside, not in changing others, not in forcing outcomes, but in mastering your response. When nothing outside can disturb your inner state, you become difficult to manipulate, difficult to provoke, difficult to defeat. Control what you can. This idea is simple, but most people ignore it. They spend their energy fighting things that will never bend to their will. They argue with the past. They worry about the future. They try to change other people's thoughts, feelings, and choices. This creates constant frustration because life does not work that way. Stoicism teaches that peace begins when you separate what is yours to control from what is not. Your thoughts are within your control. Your actions are within your control. Your effort is within your control. Everything else is not. Weather, luck, opinions, outcomes, and other people's behavior exist outside your command. When you confuse these two areas, you suffer. You blame yourself for things you could not prevent, or you become angry at the world for not obeying you. A Stoic does not waste strength on impossible tasks. Instead, he directs all focus toward what is truly his. When something goes wrong, he asks one question: what part of this belongs to me? If the answer is nothing, he lets it go. If the answer is something, he works on it without complaint. This mindset removes confusion and replaces it with clarity. Most anxiety comes from trying to control the future. The mind imagines outcomes, failures, and disasters that may never happen. This steals peace from the present moment. The future cannot be commanded, only prepared for. Preparation is within control. Results are not. A Stoic prepares fully and then releases attachment to outcome. The same applies to the past. Regret comes from wishing events had been different. But the past is fixed. No amount of anger or guilt can change it. What you can control is what you learn from it. Turning experience into wisdom is power. Repaying mistakes without learning is self-punishment. Other people are the greatest source of wasted energy. You may want them to understand you, respect you, or act differently. But their minds are not yours. Trying to control them leads to disappointment. A Stoic accepts people as they are, not as he wishes them to be. This does not mean approval. It means realism. When you stop trying to control others, you regain freedom. You stop reacting emotionally to their behavior. You stop needing their validation. You act according to your values, not their approval. This builds inner stability. Even in difficult situations, control still exists. You may not control what happens to you, but you control how you face it. You control whether you respond with dignity or panic. You control whether you grow bitter or stronger. This choice always remains, no matter the circumstances. Focusing on what you can control sharpens discipline. You stop blaming. You stop making excuses. You take responsibility for your character, your habits, and your effort. This responsibility is not a burden. It is freedom. When you know where your power lies, you stop feeling helpless. Small daily actions matter more than grand outcomes. You may not control success, but you control consistency. You may not control recognition, but you control integrity. You may not control comfort, but you control endurance. Over time, these controlled actions shape a strong life. When emotions rise, ask whether they are attached to something you cannot control. If they are, release them. If they are tied to your choices, correct them. This practice turns chaos into order. Control is not about forcing life to obey you. It is about aligning yourself with reality. When you stop demanding what you cannot have and focus on what is already in your hands, your mind becomes lighter, your actions become sharper, and your energy is no longer wasted on battles that cannot be won. Master your emotions. Emotions are natural, but they are not leaders. They arise on their own, without permission, shaped by habit, memory, and instinct. If left unchecked, they take control of decisions and push life in directions that later bring regret. Stoicism does not ask you to destroy emotion. It asks you to govern it. Many people believe emotions define who they are. If they feel angry, they believe they are angry. If they feel afraid, they believe they are weak. This confusion gives emotions authority they do not deserve. An emotion is only a signal, not a command. It points to something, but it does not decide what must be done. When anger appears, the body prepares for conflict. The heart races, the breath shortens, the mind narrows. In this state, judgment is poor. Words become sharp. Actions become reckless. A Stoic recognizes this and refuses to act while the mind is disturbed. Waiting is not avoidance. It is strategy. Fear works in a similar way. It imagines danger before danger arrives. It protects, but it also exaggerates. If obeyed blindly, it keeps you small. It convinces you to avoid effort, risk, and growth. A Stoic listens to fear without submitting to it. He asks whether the threat is real or imagined, whether caution is needed or courage. Desire can be just as dangerous. It creates attachment. It tells you that you need something to be whole. When desire controls you, peace depends on getting what you want. This makes you vulnerable. If the object is taken away, you suffer. Stoicism teaches satisfaction with what is present and restraint toward what is tempting. Mastery begins with awareness. You must notice emotions as they rise. Most people feel first and think later. A Stoic reverses this order. He observes the feeling without becoming it. He creates space between stimulus and response. In that space, reason can speak. This practice is quiet. It happens inside. No one sees it. But it changes everything. When you no longer explode at every provocation, you conserve energy. When you no longer panic at uncertainty, you remain focused. When you no longer chase every desire, you become independent. Emotional control is not suppression. Suppression stores pressure until it breaks. Mastery is understanding. You allow the emotion to exist, but you do not let it decide. Like a horse, emotion provides movement, but reason holds the reins. Training the mind takes repetition. Each time you resist an impulsive reaction, you strengthen control. Each time you choose patience over anger, clarity over fear, restraint over desire, you build trust in yourself. This trust becomes confidence. Hard situations reveal emotional habits. Stress exposes weakness. Insults test pride. Loss tests attachment. A Stoic uses these moments as training. Instead of asking why this is happening, he asks how he should respond. The focus shifts from complaint to character. Mastering emotions makes you unpredictable to others and reliable to yourself. People cannot manipulate you through anger or fear. Pressure loses its power. Chaos stays outside. This does not make you cold. It makes you steady. When emotions no longer dominate your actions, decisions improve. Relationships become calmer. Work becomes clearer. Life feels less heavy. You stop fighting yourself. Inner conflict fades when reason leads and emotion follows. The mind becomes a place of order instead of noise. Thoughts slow down. Attention sharpens. You see situations as they are, not as emotion paints them. This clarity is rare and valuable. True strength is not found in intensity, but in restraint. Not in loud reactions, but in quiet control. The person who can rule his inner world is never at the mercy of the other one except reality fully. Resistance to what is already happening is the source of much suffering. People often believe pain comes from events themselves, but more often it comes from wishing things were different. The mind argues with facts. It says this should not have happened. This is unfair. This is not how it was supposed to be. Reality does not listen. It continues forward, unchanged. Acceptance is not weakness. It is clarity. When you accept reality, you see the situation as it truly is, not as you want it to be. Only from this position can intelligent action begin. Fighting facts wastes energy. Facing fact creates direction. Many confuse acceptance with surrender. Surrender means giving up effort. Acceptance means stopping denial. You accept the present moment so you can respond to it properly. If you deny it, every action you take will be flawed, built on false assumptions. Life is unpredictable. Plans break. People leave. Health changes. Opportunities disappear. None of this asks for permission. When you expect life to follow your script, disappointment becomes constant. A Stoic understands that change is natural. Stability comes from flexibility, not control. The moment something happens, it becomes part of reality. Whether you like it or not does not matter. Arguing with it only adds another layer of pain. The first pain comes from the event. The second pain comes from resistance. Acceptance removes the second pain. Loss is one of the hardest realities to accept. The mind clings to what was. It replays memories and asks why. But what was is gone. No amount of longing brings it back. A Stoic allows grief to exist without letting it turn into bitterness. He honors what was without being trapped by it. Failure also demands acceptance. When things do not work, the ego looks for excuses. It blames others or circumstances. This protects pride but blocks growth. Acceptance says this happened and now it must be understood. From acceptance comes learning. From learning comes improvement. Accepting reality includes accepting yourself. Your limits, your flaws, your past mistakes. Self-denial creates inner conflict. A Stoic sees himself clearly, without harsh judgment and without false pride. This honesty allows real progress. People often resist reality because they fear it. They believe that accepting something means approving it or liking it. This is not true. You can accept pain without loving it. You can accept injustice without supporting it. Acceptance simply means recognizing what exists, so you can choose how to respond. Emotional suffering often comes from unrealistic expectations. Expecting people to always be fair, life to be easy, and effort to always be rewarded sets the mind up for disappointment. Stoicism replaces expectation with preparedness. Whatever happens, the Stoic is ready to face it. When you accept reality, your mind becomes calm. You stop wasting energy on mental arguments. Focus shifts from complaint to action. Even in difficult situations, this creates strength. You may not like what is happening, but you are no longer confused by it. Acceptance also brings gratitude. When you see things as they are, you stop taking stability for granted. You appreciate what remains instead of obsessing over what is missing. This does not erase pain, but it balances it. Reality does not need your agreement. It only asks to be acknowledged. Once acknowledged, it becomes manageable. You stop fighting shadows and start dealing with substance. A Stoic walks with reality, not against it. He understands that peace is not found in controlling the world, but in aligning the mind with truth. When acceptance replaces resistance, strength replaces frustration, clarity replaces confusion, and the present moment becomes something you can stand in without breaking. Speak less, listen more. Words have weight. Once spoken, they cannot be taken back. Many people speak to fill silence, to impress, or to defend their ego. This constant talking creates mistakes, misunderstandings, and regret. Stoicism values restraint because restraint protects the mind and preserves dignity. Silence gives you time. Time to think. Time to observe. Time to understand. When you speak too quickly, you reveal thoughts that are not yet clear. When you stay quiet, you gather information. Listening is not passive. It is active attention. Most people listen only to reply. They wait for their turn to speak. They do not hear what is actually being said. A Stoic listens to learn, not to win. By listening, you see motives, emotions, and intentions that words alone do not show. Speaking less reduces conflict. Many arguments exist only because of careless words. A sharp comment, a rushed opinion, or an unnecessary explanation can turn calm into tension. Silence prevents this. It allows situations to cool before they ignite. When you speak less, your words gain power. People pay attention because you are not always talking. When you finally speak, it matters. This is not manipulation. It is natural respect for those who choose their words carefully. Silence also protects you from ego traps. When someone insults you, the urge to defend yourself is strong. But defending your ego often feeds the insult. Silence shows confidence. It tells others that their opinion does not control you. Listening reveals truth. People often expose themselves when they talk freely. Their fears, ambitions, and weaknesses surface without effort. A Stoic uses this knowledge not to exploit, but to understand the world better. There is strength in not needing to explain yourself. Not every action requires justification. Not every decision needs approval. When you speak less, you stop seeking validation. You act according to your values, not applause. Quiet also sharpens the mind. Constant talking keeps the mind busy with outward noise. Silence allows reflection. In quiet moments, thoughts settle and clarity emerges. This is where wisdom grows. Speaking less helps emotional control. When emotions are high, words become dangerous. Anger and excitement push people to say things they later regret. Silence during emotional moments prevents damage. You can always speak later, but you cannot undo what has already been said. Listening more builds patience. You learn to sit with discomfort instead of rushing to escape it with words. This patience carries into other areas of life. You become less impulsive and more deliberate. In conversations, silence creates space. The space allows others to think and reveal more. It changes the dynamic. You are no longer competing for attention. You are observing. This position gives clarity and calm. Many believe silence means weakness or lack of confidence. In reality, it takes confidence to remain quiet when you could speak. It takes self-control to resist the urge to interrupt or dominate. This control is noticed, even if it is not praised. The Stoic understands that words should serve a purpose. If they do not bring truth, usefulness, or kindness, they are unnecessary. This standard filters speech naturally. Listening more also reduces misunderstandings. You hear full thoughts instead of fragments. You respond to what is actually meant, not what you assume. This improves relationships and reduces friction. Silence is not empty. It is full of awareness. It allows you to see clearly, think deeply, and act wisely. When you speak less and listen more, you protect your peace, sharpen your judgment, and move through the world with quiet confidence. Be strong alone. Many people fear being alone because silence forces them to face themselves. Distraction hides discomfort. Noise covers doubt. When everything becomes quiet, unresolved thoughts rise. Stoicism teaches that strength begins when you can sit with yourself without needing escape. Dependence on others creates weakness. When your sense of worth relies on company, approval, or attention, you are never stable. Your mood shifts with presence and absence. A Stoic seeks independence of mind. He enjoys companionship, but does not require it to feel complete. Being alone is not isolation. Isolation is being cut off against your will. Solitude is a choice. In solitude, you gain space to think clearly. You are not shaped by opinions in the room. You are not pulled by expectations. You return to your own values. Alone time reveals truth. Without external influence, you see your habits, fears, and desires more clearly. This honesty can be uncomfortable, but it is necessary. Growth does not happen in constant distraction. It happens in reflection. Those who avoid being alone often chase validation. They talk more than they think. They agree more than they believe. They shape themselves to fit others. This leads to confusion about identity. A Stoic forms himself first, then engages with the world. Strength in solitude builds confidence. When you know you can rely on yourself, fear of abandonment fades. You stop tolerating disrespect just to avoid loneliness. You choose relationships from strength, not need. Being alone teaches self-discipline. Without external pressure, your habits reveal themselves. You either act with purpose or drift. A Stoic uses solitude to sharpen discipline, structure thoughts, and strengthen resolve. Solitude also trains emotional stability. There is no one to distract you from discomfort. You learn to process emotions instead of escaping them. This builds resilience. When challenges appear, you do not collapse or panic. Many great decisions are made alone. Noise clouds judgment. Advice can confuse. In solitude, your mind aligns. You hear your inner voice more clearly. This leads to decisions rooted in reason rather than influence. Being strong alone does not mean rejecting people. It means not fearing their absence. You can enjoy connection without clinging to it. You can walk away when values are compromised. This freedom changes how others treat you. Loneliness is often misunderstood. It is not the absence of people, but the absence of purpose. A Stoic fills solitude with meaning. He reads, reflects, trains his mind, and improves himself. Time alone becomes productive, not empty. When you are comfortable alone, you stop seeking constant entertainment. Boredom becomes a teacher. It pushes you to create, to think, to improve. Many people never reach this stage because they drown boredom with noise. Strength in solitude also prepares you for loss. People leave. Circumstances change. If your stability depends on others, loss destroys you. If your stability is internal, loss is painful, but not crushing. The world respects those who do not beg for attention. Quiet self-sufficiency draws respect naturally. You are seen as grounded and reliable. This is not performance. It is a result of inner stability. A Stoic uses time alone as training for clarity, training for discipline, training for independence. When you are strong alone, you are stronger everywhere. Presence becomes a choice, not a need. Silence becomes comfort, not fear. Solitude becomes a place of power, where the mind strengthens itself without external support. Trained for hardship. Comfort weakens the mind when it becomes a habit. When life is easy, discipline fades and expectations rise. The first difficulty then feels unbearable. Stoicism teaches preparation, not because hardship is desired, but because it is inevitable. Most people wait for problems to arrive before thinking about strength. By then, emotions take over and judgment suffers. A Stoic prepares in advance. He understands that pain, loss, failure, and uncertainty are part of life. Training the mind for these realities reduces fear. Hardship reveals character. When things go wrong, true habits appear. If comfort has been constant, reaction becomes panic. If discipline has been practiced, response becomes calm. Training shapes this response before it is needed. Mental training begins with voluntary discomfort. Choosing what is hard builds resilience. Waking early, limiting pleasure, enduring physical strain, and facing difficult conversations strengthen control. These acts are not punishment, they are preparation. When you practice hardship by choice, hardship by force loses its power. The mind recognizes difficulty as familiar. Fear decreases because the unknown becomes known. What once seemed unbearable becomes manageable. Stoicism encourages imagining loss, not to dwell on it but to remove its shock. When you consider that possessions, status, and even people are temporary, attachment weakens, gratitude grows for what exists now. If loss comes, it hurts, but it does not destroy stability. Training for hardship also includes restraint. Constant indulgence creates dependency. When pleasure is always available, the absence of it feels like suffering. A Stoic limits pleasure intentionally to avoid slavery to comfort. Discipline in small things prepares you for larger challenges. Skipping comfort today strengthens the ability to endure pain tomorrow. This is not dramatic. It is built quietly through daily choices. Hardship training improves perspective. Minor inconveniences stop feeling like disasters. Delays, criticism, and setbacks become manageable. Emotional reactions soften because the mind is no longer fragile. Many people fear hardship because they believe it will break them. In reality, avoidance breaks them first. Avoidance creates weakness. Exposure builds strength. This applies to physical, emotional, and mental challenges. A Stoic does not complain about difficulty. Complaining does nothing but drain energy. Instead, he asks what the situation demands from him. Endurance, patience, courage, action. The focus shifts from suffering to response. Training also means accepting uncertainty. Life does not guarantee security. Plans can fail without warning. Preparing the mind for uncertainty prevents shock. You learn to stand firm even when outcomes are unclear. Hardship teaches humility. It reminds you that control is limited. This humility removes arrogance and softens ego. It creates respect for effort and resilience in others. Strength built through hardship is quiet. It does not seek praise. It is visible only when tested. When others panic, you remain steady. When others break, you adapt. Training for hardship also sharpens gratitude. After difficulty, simple things feel richer. Comfort becomes appreciated instead of expected. This balance keeps the mind grounded. A Stoic sees hardship as a teacher, not an enemy. Each challenge offers a lesson in patience, courage, or endurance. Avoiding these lessons delays growth. When the mind is trained, hardship loses its threat. Pain may still exist, but fear does not dominate. The mind stays clear, focused, and capable of action. Life will test everyone. Some will meet it unprepared. Others will meet it trained. Training does not remove pain, but it removes surprise. Prepared minds do not collapse under pressure. They adjust, endure, and move forward with control and dignity. Live with discipline. Life is full of distractions that promise pleasure but demand nothing in return. Most people chase these distractions, believing they are building happiness when in reality, they are weakening themselves. Discipline is the foundation of strength because it shapes actions, habits, and character, even when no one is watching. It is the difference between fleeting satisfaction and lasting resilience. Discipline begins with small choices: waking on time, controlling what you eat, exercising regularly, and following through on commitments are the building blocks. Each act strengthens the mind because it trains you to do what is necessary, not what is easy. The small choices accumulate, creating patterns that define the person you become. Pleasure is tempting because it offers immediate reward, but it is often shallow. Discipline teaches patience, the ability to delay gratification for something greater. A person who cannot control desire becomes a slave to it. Each indulgence without restraint creates dependency. Each act of self-control, however, strengthens autonomy. Consistency is a key part of discipline. Discipline is not a single heroic act. It is repetition. Doing what must be done every day, even when motivation fades, builds reliability. Habits formed this way shape character quietly but permanently. Others may not notice, but the mind and soul remember. Discipline also governs emotions. Anger, fear, and desire can derail the untrained mind. Through disciplined practice, you learn to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. Patience replaces impatience. Calm replaces chaos. The disciplined mind acts according to principle, not impulse. Hardship tests discipline. Without it, difficulty can collapse focus and drive. With it, hardship becomes a training ground. Discipline allows you to continue acting rightly when circumstances are painful, inconvenient, or frightening. The same rules that guide you in comfort guide you in difficulty, creating unshakable consistency. Purpose guides discipline. Discipline without purpose is empty and mechanical. Every act of self-control, every choice to endure, is anchored in a vision of who you wish to become. Discipline without vision is compliance. Discipline with vision is power. The mind and body align with intention, not habit alone. Self-discipline also protects freedom. When you are disciplined, your choices are deliberate. You are not pulled by every craving or distraction. You do not need approval or guidance to act correctly. Discipline creates independence because your actions are the result of reason, not impulse. Discipline is reflected in time management. The way you spend your hours shows what you value. Wasted time weakens focus. Structured time strengthens it. A disciplined person allocates attention deliberately, reserving energy for what truly matters, not what is convenient or immediately gratifying. The disciplined mind values preparation. Planning, reflection, and foresight are natural extensions of discipline. Acting without thought is reaction. Acting with discipline is strategy. Each decision becomes part of a coherent life, rather than a scattered series of impulses. Discipline also builds endurance. Physical training, mental study, and emotional control all demand repeated effort. Discipline allows you to continue even when fatigue, boredom, or frustration arise. Strength grows not from comfort, but from persistence under challenge. It is easy to mistake willpower for discipline, but true discipline is ingrained in habit and principle. Willpower fades, discipline persists. When motivation disappears, habits remain. The disciplined person continues not because of fleeting desire but because the structure of their life supports it. Living with discipline creates confidence. Confidence is not loud or boastful. It is calm assurance in the face of uncertainty. When you have trained yourself to act rightly, endure difficulty, and resist temptation, your actions carry certainty. You trust yourself, and that trust cannot be taken away. Through discipline, life becomes manageable. Choices become deliberate, emotions become stable, and priorities become clear. Discipline transforms potential into action, desire into restraint, and chaos into order. It is the silent force that shapes character, governs behavior, and strengthens the mind.